Hey guys, Fire here from InDepth Gaming, bringing you another game review. This time we're checking out Ghostbusters Spirits Unleashed. This game is developed and published by Ilphonic and releases on October 18th, 2022 for a price of $39.99. So, what is Ghostbusters Spirits Unleashed? It's classified as an action-adventure game, but what it's more like is a 4v1 Ghostbuster fanatics dream of a game that in some ways over delivers and in other ways super fails. So let's talk about it. So here's at the core of the game, you operate everything out of this firehouse. You have things that you can do with Tobin from his spirit guides, to I believe it's Kat up here who helps kind of guide you along the way, Milton, and a whole cast of other teams, especially additionally with a couple guys up here up top where you can do tons of unlockables in the game, from how your traps work to collecting spores and fungus to everything in between. You have a super detailed kind of base hub here that feels great, has some cool little Easter eggs for Ilphonics, but on paper it's almost just like a 3D walkable menu system that I think could have had a little more fun and joy to the game. I think my favorite part about it is a feature down here where you can empty your ghost trap, but I haven't found any other part of the game where this actually does anything. I don't gain XP for dumping ghosts here. I don't really do any beneficial part of the game otherwise than doing it, and that's probably my favorite part here, is being able to empty ghosts in a ghost trap. Now, the main meat and potatoes part of the game features the option to either play with yourself or friends in a kind of pitted version of the game where you could play through one of 5 currently available maps. I'm not sure if they're going to launch more in the future. I hope they do, because to be honest, launching with just 5 maps that don't really change at all is a little bit of a letdown for me, especially when the best game you could probably compare this to would be Evolve. I think launched with even more maps and plenty of different monsters, but we'll kind of leave that at its own. Like I said, you can play the game with a friend, and there are some challenges, but some of the stuff, at least with playing the game ahead of release, has been a little clunky and a little lackluster. Some of your things that you can unlock don't really get explained too well, and there's a couple things that at times can feel a little, hard to navigate and understand. I think the most annoying and frustrating part is, when it comes to, some of the core mechanics of the game, you can lay out your kind of ghost catcher thing here. I don't know why I can't remember what to call it, your trap here, but it can be really awkward to not know that you need to also hit left trigger twice once it's deployed, and pick it back up. But also the game doesn't really explain the whole battery mechanic system, and that you only really get one, which, unless you're a diehard Ghostbusters fan, that's kind of on you. What I do though like about the game though when it comes to the matchmaking is you're never gonna have to worry about not having people to play with. It does autofill with bots, and there's some of the smartest bots in games that I've actually played so far. As you can see, like right now, and it's gonna be hard for me to find people to play actual players with. I'll get dove into a game. I get to use my various tools and abilities to try and find the ghosts, but the main premise of what's here is just going to be trying to understand how the game works and operates with, the basic mechanics. You want to find the ghost, trap him, not let him do enough damage, and then rinse and repeat and help all your friends before they die. Different characters can get slimed, attacked, and you have a couple different tools, like I said, at your disposal. You have your PKE meter, where you can use to discover where the ghosts are. The ghosts can also interrupt you. You have your kind of I can't remember words for the life of me right now. You have your kind of blaster to trap the ghosts, and it's nothing that's too overly complicated or difficult, but the game definitely seems very one-sided when you're playing the game. Trapping the ghost isn't anything that's overly difficult, but if you are playing in like a 4v1 match against like actual human players, it feels very one-sided when it comes to having a ghost to compete against, as the ghost generally just seems like there's way more advantage on his side of the board versus any other occasion in the game. And, it's been one of those parts while playing that gets kind of annoying and clunky. And often at times you're going to even forget about your batteries. You can see here, I don't have my battery pack, so I can't actually even trap this ghost. So I'm hoping that relying on my AI teammates here to do that job for me. It's not too difficult as far as how the controls work. You just have a lot to micromanage when you're playing, and especially when you have these AI kind of companions. As you can see, I can't get him to drop a trap for the life of me, so I've got to go find mine to be able to even do anything in the game. Now, the way the games work is you pretty much have 3 attempts to get the ghosts and destroy roofs before they do a full haunt. Whichever comes first, that'll be the winners. I'd say games are generally 10 to 15 minutes, kind of just depends on how your ghostie's doing, if the ghost is a bot, if the ghost is a player, and that's kind of just the kind of stigma of how the game works. Nothing, like I said, is too overly complicated. Drop your trap, try to loop the ghost in, drag him into it, and rinse and repeat that method. The ghost will have an option to do these kind of like minigame stick battles to try to escape, but that's kind of the premise. You don't really get a rewarded effect of, at the end of the game, I've caught a ghost. You're kind of rewarded based on the amount of damage you do or don't do in the game, as well as other things going on, but it's nothing that's, too overly ridiculous or too overly difficult. It's just going to be a lot of rinse and repeat the same kind of mentality stuff. And I think the game, like I said, it shines when you have more than, just you playing. I think the AI bots, although, like I said, it's enjoyable, it gets extremely boring and very repetitive. And I'm not going to falter that, so I'm not going to factor that in my opinion of the game. I have been fortunate enough to play some 5-player games, and they've been very, very fun to experience. But it's just going to been one of those, like, I don't really know what to do when, I don't, if I have AI botted teammates and it's me having to verse just one ghost, or, if it's, a human player ghost, it just seems very overpowered. And it's kind of been the premise across all the maps that I've played. You also have a couple different things at your disposal when it comes to making sure citizens aren't overly scared, because the ghost wants to scare so many people out of the game. If they haunt enough people and cause enough chaos, the game will just ultimately end. But it's pretty easy to manage and maintain the scaredness of everybody going on in the game, as, at times the ghost just gets really clunky and doesn't know how to function and operate its life. And that's kind of it. I think the damage effects that kind of occur in the game, they're kind of just more, that's okay. It doesn't have any real gameplay effect to the game. I don't really see, outside of the game just saying, hey, don't break a bunch of stuff. There's no real pro or con to any of that situational stuff in the game, but it's still a really fun overall package for the game. If you are a Ghostbusters fan and loved any of the series stuff, by far this is definitely a game that's worth buying. If you enjoyed the game Evolve or like 4v1 style, like Team Solo-esque games, this game is definitely for you. If you don't like 4v1 style-esque games, this isn't really going to be a game for you. Although there's some stuff to unlock, you can upgrade your equipment, get cosmetic things. It's kind of rather lackluster what's really here, at least from my experience for the game. And, everybody's going to have kind of like a differing opinion, which is great, and why we all get to think what we think about games in different ways. I think this game is really fun, and I've personally enjoyed it. And as far as an opinion of Buy Sailor Pass, I definitely recommend picking it up. I am a Ghostbusters fan, so accept that bias however you want it to be. I'll be biased if it's a game I enjoy. I don't care. My review. You came here to listen to me talk about a game? Well, you're going to listen to me talk about a game. Overall, though, I don't think there's too much to be, deterred with this game. The PKE meter stuff's kind of a little boring, and I think could have been done a little differently. And the way that, you interact with, some of the ghosts could be a little different. I found very few opportunities to experience the other ghosts, and it seems like maybe it's kind of like behind like a leveled cap type thing or something, but my experience with them is very few and far between. It's almost always been the same ghost, and like I said, you have to factor that into the whole portion of the game where we've only had a little bit of time to play early and be able to tell you our initial thoughts. Nonetheless, though, it's still fun and enjoyable, and I think overall will be a great game for any Ghostbusters fan, and a great game. I think the biggest attractor that's going to hurt this game is just that price point coming in at $40. It's kind of a big ask for a game that doesn't have, any, predecessors to really step up to, and the closest comparison, like I said, will be Evolve. Visually this game is amazing. I love the art style. I love everything this game has kind of going for it. There's really nothing bad. I just that the stuff that could be fixed and worked on is just how overpowered the ghosts are. And, I definitely think that the game could do a little better job at balancing that out. But it's going to take time to be able to balance that stuff out until it releases. So take, like I said, that with a grain of salt. You know, the cutscenes alone for this game are some of the best things ever. Got to be cautious when recording certain things because I don't want to get copyright striked. So if you want to check those out, you can pick the game up and see what you think. Outside of that, though, that's my thoughts on Ghostbusters Spirits Unleashed. If you want to know more, see gameplay or anything like that, let me know down below in the comments. If you have any questions, I'll be happy to answer those as well. Outside of that, I hope you have a great rest of your day. Consider subscribing to the channel if you haven't already, and we'll catch you next time.